What's up, people? We are here with another visual novel. This one is called Phenomeno. So looking at this screen, this probably looks a bit weird to most of you, but yeah, this particular visual novel was actually never released in English. Like, there was never a official English translated version, but the version that I'm going to be playing is actually the fan translated version of it, and I believe it was released like 4 years ago or something as some sort of advertisement campaign for the graphic novel version of another horror or something like that, something along those lines. That's all I know. But yeah, this one is rather short. I believe like 2-3 hours, although knowing my usual rambling in between them, as well as talking about random shit, it'll probably last a bit longer than that. But this one isn't that long, so yeah, this is, as you've probably heard before, kind of a horror visual novel. Definitely kind of thrillerish, mysterious, and I don't think most of you are aware of it, but I am really bad when it comes to horror visual novels, games, or just movies in general. Not a big fan of them, but I do enjoy a good one every now and again. Like, for example, although Summer Drop wasn't technically too scary in terms of horrorness, but still, that one kind of got my skin crawling and everything. But yeah, I feel like, is that the last horror visual novel I've played? But anyway, the last one, I've been like looking for a lot of awesome visual novels to play, and especially ones that actually have never been officially released in English. I've been trying to do or look for a couple of those that I could possibly play, and this was one of them that popped up. So yeah, I actually was looking into some other horror visual novels as well, but we're going to be doing this one first, and we'll see in the future which other ones are going to come. So yeah, one thing I do know is that this particular one, the top one, is to start this game, so I don't know what to expect of this, except that I'm probably gonna crap my pants. So let's do this, I guess. Come on, you can do this, Luda. I'm freaked out already. It hasn't even started yet. There are things that shouldn't be seen. Often said my late grandmother, and that was quite true. I'm freaking playing this in full screen as well. Why isn't there like a... There was an options button there, but it's in Japanese, so I couldn't really quite figure it out. So yeah, playing this in full 1080p, full screen, HD, everything. Oh god. I was drawn to the occult from childhood, and upon entering university, I learned the truth of those words by stepping many times into the edges of the netherworld. Ghosts, being which no one can decisively determine whether they exist or not. The story that begins here revolves around stories brought forth by them. And this story, it can also be said to be the story of it and I. As its eyes glimmer in front of strangeness, as it breathes out words with a bedazzled expression, it warped the world that I always believed in. It made me anxious of whether the ground I stood on would shake. I would want to look over my shoulder just by listening, and grew to fear whether someone were peeking from the dark shadow of the door. Maybe it was because the words it spoke included truths about the other side. It included truths that only applied to the scant, grotesque, waning, dead ones. Now, after it has disappeared, do I finally know that? As grandmother said, it was a world that I should not have seen. It was a story. It was not for the living person. Oh god, it's not for us guys. We're all living. We should abort right now, abort mission. However, I intend to speak of that. I intend to speak about all of that. There's no need to share your ghost secrets with us, because if I don't, I wouldn't be able to rest in peace, because having lived on the edge of darkness, having struggled through the threshold of darkness, would not be able to live in peace. Yes, I'll say it once more. From here on, is a story that shouldn't be known. After we're done with this game, we should all just erase it from our minds, forget about it. I'm guessing this says Phenomeno. Phenomeno. Oh god, I can actually see a face in like the clouds or smoke, whatever it was. Case 01. Flow. Oh god, what is that sound? Oh, why does it sound like bones cracking or... Oh god, what is that? Oh, it's just a table? With an ashtray on it? Hey, mother. If the beings called ghosts existed in this world, why am I freaking playing this in the middle of the night as well? This is so stupid of me. Would it ever be possible for someone to prove their existence, such that no one would anywhere could argue otherwise? I think it would be impossible, no matter how much humanity evolves. On the flip side, it also means no one anywhere could prove irrefutably that they do not exist. From that standpoint, to discuss whether ghosts exist or not is a complete waste of time. That's why people who can emerge victorious from such a discussion must be people who can purely enjoy ghosts as a source of entertainment. Indeed, I fall under that group, and you could call me quite bluntly as an occult maniac. Mother may not know, but this is quite a niche existence in the world. To be of my age, and go ghost this, yuuichi that. I know that people laugh at people like me, but you know, there are plenty of things in the world that are inexplicable. Yes. Oh, that's one creepy looking house. For example, the house I'm living in. This old, almost 30 years old building is by the side of the Tamagawa waterworks, and partly because it's located in such an odd place, has an incredibly low rent. Oh, you know when a big house has low rent or is like for sale at a really cheap price, you know something is up with that, okay? It is not as good as it looks, it's always like that. If there's one thing I learned about horror movies, whenever people just buy a new house, it's always this huge old house. It always looks like, oh, this was cheap, I wonder why. And then they walk in the house, spend the first night there, and they're like, alright, I know why it's fucking cheap. When I came to Tokyo this spring, I looked for a cheap apartment and found this place. It takes 10 minutes of biking to reach a convenience store. It's surrounded by darkness and covered by a thick copse. For some reason in my mind almost read corpse. Copse. What is a copse? Copsey? And because there are no streetlights in the area, it's completely dark at night. However, I enjoy this old building. It was built like an old mountain cottage, as the first floors was a garage, and the second floor and third floors were blown out, so it was more than luxurious for a person living alone. The kitchen was as cramped as a kitchenette, but it had a living room, a Japanese-style room, a bath, and even an atelier. From what I hear, an architect had designed it as a personal workspace. I liked it at first sight. Furthermore, for a place with a bath to be just 30,000 yen in Tokyo, Musashino was unthinkably rare, and it even came with an oral story that could not be ignored. This is a house that grants wishes. So said the smiling real estate agent who introduced this place to me. If that is true, then it wouldn't be this fucking cheap, okay? The architect who built this became famous. The illustrator who moved in became busy and moved closer to the city. and the young couple that was living here until last month gave birth to a beautiful baby, which led to this becoming open. You are quite lucky." After hearing that, who wouldn't immediately seal the deal? You know that's what real estate agents are supposed to do. They tell you like this beautiful story about how everything is much, much better than it actually is in reality. So I jumped at the opportunity. There was probably a feeling of superiority too, given that my colleagues at university pay over twice the rent and live in rabbit cages. In any case, I was quite pleased at how lucky a man I was with my first time living alone. Yet, within a month, I realized how big of a mistake that was. I told you, it always is like that. Oh god. Oh, what? That's an eyeball? Oh no, is it just a lamp? I can hear sounds somewhere when I'm sleeping at night. The squeaking of something persistently attempting to open some old door. Oh, I hate that creaking noise. Fuck. I'd assume it was just some bad structuring somewhere, but I soon realized that it was odd that it always happened at 2 a.m. I got goosebumps already. I tried going to the living room from my bedroom at the edge of the second floor, and the sound would stop. I thought maybe it was coming from above and went to the atelier on the third floor, but there was nothing that could be the sound of the source. Okay, dude, if you're something in your house starts randomly creaking every single night at 2 a.m., you do not go out of your bed to check it out, okay? Oh god, that is when bad things happen. I planned to eventually organize it to be cooler, but at the moment, it was a bare environment with just my desk and a bookshelf. I looked around, but the windows were all shut, so there was nothing to make a sound. After that, I went to the toilet and the bath. However, I could not find anything that could be connected to the sound. So I thought, maybe I'm just hearing things, and went back to sleep again. It's starting again! Dude! But then the sound started again. Squeak. The sound of old wood groaning. I could also hear the sound of something scraping. It wasn't like a mouse or a cat. It was an eerie sound, like something trying to crawl out of somewhere dark after having been tormented for a long time. Oh, fuck me. Eventually, its sound stopped seemingly echoing throughout the house and felt like it was seeping through the atmosphere around my ear. As a result, I began keeping the lights on throughout the house and using earplugs when sleeping. However, the problem stopped being just sound. It was about 2 weeks ago I found a decisive thing. The fuck is that? I found 7 carved into the wall of the landing of the stairs with something sharp. Oh god. Ugh. I immediately checked the doors and windows around the house, but there didn't seem to have been anyone entering. I was probably terrified. What? Dude, how can you be probably terrified? Terrified is something you either are or not. It's not something that you're like, maybe I'm terrified. No, it's you either are fucking terrified or you're not. And guess which one I am? It was a pretty big engraving, but I forced myself to think I had just never noticed it before. A few days later... Oh fuck, what was that? Though, I found near the bathtub 6. Something sharp had carved it into the windowsill. And a week ago, I found near the toilet 5. And even this easygoing person had to believe it. Oh god. Well, is it like The Ring or something? You know, where you watch the tape, or when you live in this house, you'll die in 7 days. Oh shit. Or this person is just learning to count down from 7. Maybe that's it. Something was in this house, and that this was some countdown. Oh fuck. I immediately jumped out of the house. I couldn't live in the house anymore. I hadn't made any close friends yet at university, so I lived in karaoke boxes and net cafes for several days. I couldn't talk about this to anyone. I didn't know any monks, nor any mediums. Then I realized, right, maybe the people from Ikaigabuchi, edge of the netherworld, will be perfect for discussing this with. The colleagues of mine who were also into a cold world may believe me. And so, incidentally, they aren't suspicious people at all. No, we are plenty suspicious. Huh? I recoiled at the sudden voice from above. Who that girl? When I looked up, I saw Karasu's white face, and she was waving her hand. Yo, Nagi. Karasu? Since when were you there? I checked the time on my cell phone. It was 10:30 p.m. There was still 30 minutes until the offline meeting taking place at 11. Right around when you began explaining the house that grants wishes to your mother. That's basically the start. I complained as I grumpily placed my stationery bag, my bag. Sorry, but you know, peeping is... What was that? Peeping is like our trait, you know, said Karasu as she smiled cutely. This was a family restaurant near Ichikai Road. We were going to have an emergency offline meeting here with the members of an occult site I frequent. And of course, Karasu wasn't her real name. It was a handle that she used online, just as I, Yamada Nagito, go by the name Nagi. She went by Karasu. This was the third time we'd met, but I still didn't know her real name. However, she was a veteran on the Ikaigabuchi site, and thus a big senior to me, who'd only begun looking at the site this spring. Her appearance was as usual, a purplish velvet dress that reached her ankles, and below that was just a black camisole. Or rather, her chest was completely bare. Of course we noticed that. The first thing my eyes were actually drawn to is that freaking skull near her boobies. Her breasts looked like they would jump out at any time, which made looking at her awkward. That would suddenly make this game much better and not a horror story at all. However, this was a uniform of sorts. You're quite early. Did you close shop early today? Oh, is she one of those? I'm pretty sure she owns like a glass, you know, those glass magic balls or something that tells the future. I asked. Pretty much. Fortune tellers don't have much to do when there are no customers. She took off the stole she was wearing and sat down across from me. But you know, to put it frankly, she played with the skull-shaped accessory shining at her breast as she looked at me. Your house probably has nothing to do with it. Oh god, it's probably me, right? I'm the one who's cursed, not the house. Is that what she's trying to say? What? What was it? Right. Schema? Schema? Some word using cognitive science. If you keep thinking you're scared, then you start seeing faces in the ceiling. That sort of thing. Because you were hearing squeaking every day, you began seeing numbers from the scratches that always were in your house. Seriously? Seriously. I mean, You came to Tokyo alone from super ruralness in Shizuoka, and this is the first time you're living alone, right? And then you're living in an old wooden house alone, so it's not too surprising. I used to live in a house that groaned and squeaked a lot, so I know how you feel. It's like the sound of saran wrapping, so it's pretty discomforting. So she said, as she raised her hand to order beer from the waitress. Well, wait then. If this was me just being a wuss, then what should I say to the occult veterans that were coming to the offline meeting? Would I get banned from the wonderful site for being an airhead in just one night? Don't worry about it. I mean, I feel like everybody should check it out, but then of course nothing happens. We're a bunch of folk that love meeting and trading shady stories. But it shouldn't be that simple. There were about 10 people coming to this meeting. And then Karasu said, "Huh?" and looked at me. You hadn't looked? At what? This meeting. I think over 30 people are showing up. What? Oh god, more people to look like an idiot in front of... What? I hurriedly accessed the Ikaigabuchi offline meeting board through my cell phone, and then opening the house that grants wishes / investigation thread, and was taken aback. You're right. Why did the number suddenly skyrocket? Are that many people interested in a house that grants wishes? Unfortunately, not at all. See, even the regulars Sue and Zippo are coming to the meeting, right? They shouldn't move for some mere horror tale. Or wouldn't. Some horror tale. She laughed at the expression I made as she plucked the phone from my hand and then played with it, and then she turned the screen to me. This, the fourth poster, going by the name Yuuichi. I think this many people are showing up because this one announced their participation. Yuuichi? Who is Yuuichi? No idea. Said Karasu with a grin as she pulled out a cigarette. She lit the cigarette using a worn, slender lighter, and after blowing out a puff of smoke, quietly whispered, "Those that meet Yuuichi die 7 days later." Oh, what? Does that mean we met him in our house? What? There's more. Yuuichi isn't a living person. Offline meetings that Yuuichi attends ends in terror. What else was there? What is that? Something like an urban legend that started being whispered around Ikaigabuchi. Yet no one's actually met Yuuichi. No one knows if Yuuichi is some old man, or even what gender they are. However, everyone who attends a meeting that Yuuichi goes to remains silent. The entire thread disappears. The participants stop going to Ikaigabuchi. Or they die. Her low whisper felt like ice-cold water splashing down the back of my neck. On the other side, Karasu happily received her glimmering cup of beer and exclaimed, "Gah! Delicious!" with a lackadaisical tone. But those are just rumors, right? I asked, and she laughed. That's right. So basically, even if the house that grants wishes is a miss, there's hope of Yuuichi, so everyone's gathering for fun. So you don't have to fret about it anymore. She said, but I still felt mixed emotions. Until now, until today, I was trembling with fear alone, unable to go home. And then I suggested today's offline meeting in the hopes of getting the opinions of the veterans of Ikaigabuchi, having the story blown off immediately as my misunderstanding wasn't sufficient to quell my fears. However, if Yuuichi has gotten interested, might the house that grants wishes be real? Who knows? I'm just interested in seeing how Yuuichi-kun's appearance changes a horror story that doesn't interest me into something more eerie. Doesn't interest. I feel like she's just kind of undermining what we've just been freaked out at the beginning for, you know? Like, she just thinks like, it's no big deal, you're just imagining and shit like that. Meanwhile, I was sweating my shirt off. If it still bothers you, Ikaigabuchi has a page for investigating haunted areas. You can request an investigation. Although I still think you'll just end up being laughed at. She laughed as she quickly finished her beer. Indeed, the Ikaigabuchi site did routinely check out haunted houses, haunted areas around the country, regardless of fame. After investigation, haunted areas were graded on a scale of A to D, with A being called the most dangerous of spots. This rating was very unique, and in that famed areas such as Masakado Kubiduka and Iwainari were given a D rank by Ikaigabuchi. In other words, they were rated as the lowest level of danger. Supposedly, it was because it had become an area that was evenly split, as humans and ghosts treated each other with respect. Yeah, who the fuck wants to go there, right? That's not remotely dangerous. We only want to see ghosts that start creeping the shit out of people. We don't want to see ghosts being friendly with other humans. Who the hell wants to see that horror movie? On the other hand, places given an A rank were often unknown to the common populace. Places such as crime scenes that involved murders brought forth by thick emotions such as infatuation and jealousy, isolated locales of death by seniors who maintained fanatic delusions, and so on. They say those places serve as lightning rods for souls that resented the current world, souls that had lost personalities, and simply become clumps of malicious intent, far beyond saving. As I thought such things, Karasu began peering intently at my face. Hey, Nagi-kun. Yes? You have the mark of a meeting. Yes? And this is a girl. What are you trying to say, Karasu? Seriously? My expression loosened at her words. Is she already drunk after one beer? Can you tell me a little more? She began playing with the skull-shaped accessory near her breasts. As she continued, this is like a hint, you know, like, you wanna play with that? How should I put it? It's a very dense meeting. Like two souls previously split are reuniting. But, she said, seemingly looking through me and at a different world. It's hard to say if meeting this girl will actually result in happiness for you. What's that? And furthermore, wait, isn't she dead? Hey, did she just read our future or something? What? Or our past or stuff about us? What? Isn't that like being possessed? You gotta be kidding me, I thought. But I also remembered that she would tell me such ominous things every time we met. Previously, she told me I had bicycle luck, and then I got hit by a mama cycle on the way back. And then she told me I had good gold fortune and was happy, but then I stepped on a gold-colored thumbtack at home. That's not luck. In other words, she was very good at presenting unfortunate things in a way that you can't tell it's unfortunate, which is an important skill for a fortune teller, I suppose. Yeah, she's like, you know, she's making everything seem positive even if it's actually not. You know, Karasu, if you're a fortune teller, shouldn't you also tell people how to avoid misfortune? I asked. But it's up to the person whether to think of something as unfortunate. She stuck out her tongue in a cute way, and then shouted to the employee passing by, "Another beer, please!"